We're going to start today's video at the Restore here in Glenn County. Our Restore always has some kind of percentage off, and when I saw this wooden pineapple for $5, they had 30% off it. I bought it back down at Christmas time, and so I thought about $3.50-ish was a good buy for this. It's a really big pineapple. And it's all wood, so I'm going to do some decoupage on this. And so, best practice is a light background to make the decoupage paper nice and bright with the colors that are in it. And so I'm going to use two different papers today. Once I get this all painted, that plaster chalk paint is it has wonderful coverage. And so I think I only needed to do 2 coats there. We're getting to the bottom of that one, so it gets nice and thick, which suits me fine for decoupage. Okay, I'm going to use this sage damask for the top part where the leaves are. And I wanted to get it down there all the way to the tip of the leaves. I didn't want to do any piecing. So I kind of line it up with the leaves there. And for some reason, I had the super matte out. Usually, I decoupage with just the yellow label matte Mod Podge because it's cheaper. The super matte is a little more expensive, but anyway, I must have had it out. I like to spritz my paper with a little bit of water, and it makes it a little more pliable so that I can stretch it and get it nice and flat. And so I'm going to put down the Mod Podge, and I decided I didn't want it to go to be long enough for the tips of the leaves. It had to go down into the body of the pineapple, but I didn't want this decoupage paper there. So I just took a little piece of parchment. You see, I just cut it out of my little parchment I have this on. And I just, shoved it right up in there so this part of the paper would not stick to the bottom part of the pineapple. And so I can get the tips, and then I'll just pull that out after it dries. And I'm using my brayer to make sure it's on there nice and smooth, and I let it dry. All right, so I come back the next day, and I'm just going to put a few relief cuts in here. I want a nice, clean sanding job on my leaves, so I don't want any accidental tears. I'm going to do that tear on the bottom last. And now I like to use, because these are, kind of smaller spaces going into these leaves, on the pineapple, I like to use my nail files. These are the ones I get in bulk from Amazon, and they have a really nice grit. I believe one is a 180, and then one is an 80, I think or 100. So it's a nice, tough little nail file. It does a really good job. And then, the wood was a little bit rough, and so there I tore it off. Easy to do once it's dried. And so anyway, I gave it all a nice sanding. And then I'm going to be using this. It's a large floral. And these are all JRV papers, and they're both discontinued. So they're half price on the JRV website. And I looked when I linked this for you down below, and they still have some. So you can get it doesn't say that they're half off, but once you go to checkout, I got a few extras because they are half off. They're great papers. They're 18-pound paper. It's a tissue. It's not rice paper, but it's a nice, it's not like napkins. It's a nice decoupage paper. And like I say, when I spritz it a little bit with water, I can, lift it up and put it back down if I don't like exactly where it is. And I'm trying to make sure my pineapple is straight. The way it's cut, the leaves are a little askew. The way it hangs, you'll see when it's on the door when I hang it up. So I was making sure my flowers were going to be growing in the right direction. And so I kind of fussed and fiddled with this, and then I wanted to make sure that parchment was in the right place because I didn't want it to get onto my other decoupage paper. And then I just push it in. That little mister is kind of like if you use Dawn Power Wash. It's like those misters, and they're great. I've had this one for over a year now, and it's still going strong. All right. So now I am using my normal decoupage medium, matte Mod Podge, which is because it's cheap and it works great. And, I just do a thin coat, and, if I need to, I can thin it down. But usually I just put a nice thin coat on, and with a little spritz of water, it's perfect. Okay, now I wanted to practice a little bit of acrylic watercolor painting. I'm going to do a little technique on this paper. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Snow White under this one, make it nice and bright. But I'm preparing this little shelf sitter that I bought at Dollar General last weekend. They had their half off a half. They had one of their clearance events last week, so I got this for 75% off, which was not such a bad deal. And so I'm putting it on the back because the front had I forget what the saying is, but it was a nice little sweet little saying, so I just left it. And so I'm going to practice on this. I'm not putting any Mod Podge on top. I'm just going to do some watercolor with these acrylics. This is the Acryology. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. It's the acrylic line at the Dollar Tree, and I love these paints. I've been using them, for a while now. I tried them when they first came out, and I've been collecting all the colors. They come out in spurts with the different, when the nautical stuff came out, a whole set of colors came out with that. They've got the metallic there, and they've got all kinds. Anyway, I'm going to be making a palette, and the colors I'm using I have listed down below in my description box. I'm using white, almond, fawn, gold, lemon yellow, deep yellow, and then I'm using turquoise, sky blue, deep green, heather green, light green, rose quartz, deep pink, rouge, and magenta. And so you see I've just made that little palette there. I got that palette a while back at Michael's, and it's a great little palette. It keeps the paints really fresh. Okay, so again, I have not put any top coat on this. So this is just a little bit of Mod Podge underneath this 18-pound paper. And now I want to, almost like a coloring book or a coloring page, I'm going to do some a watercolor with acrylic paints. And I wanted to do a tester, so that's why I'm doing this little one. And you see I'm using that red kind of bottle. It's a little jar there. It looks like a strawberry, but it just has water in it. And so I'm creating, just some watercolor type effects. And I've got a paper towel there to dab and blot my brush. And if I get a little bit too much water on the project, I have a dry paper towel there in my hand. I can just blot it off, and it will lighten up the color really easily. And so I got going with this, and I just love it. It is so fun to be creative, and I add a little purple into that blue iris right there, and then we're just trying to use a lot of the pinks. Now on the pineapple, I'm only going to be using shades of the yellow and orange, and then greens. So I'm going to kind of keep it pineapple colors, but on this one, I wanted to, really kind of play around with some of the colors. And so this one I'm practicing for the pineapple. I'm trying different shades of yellow. See, when I tap it with that paper towel, it just lightens it, immediately. It just looks so pretty. I think I'll do a little, there we go, a little dabbing there. You can see it really changes just the weight of the color, of the tint. And I just love the way this looked. It was so much fun to do. I tried to follow along with the darks and lights in the paper itself. Here I am adding the leaves on. I've done a little purple flower there. Now if I get a little bit of the color in the white spaces, I really don't mind. But if it's a lot, I'll come back with just some white and dab over it and put some water and try to blend it in a little bit. All right, so now that little shelf sitter's done, my practice is finished. I was real happy with it. Now I'm just going to go to town with lots of different shades of yellow here on the pineapple. And I was trying to think if I should put a word on there. Pineapple traditionally means welcome. And I ended up liking the painting so much, I just left it blank. I left it without words because I just loved the way this turned out. I'm just having fun mixing all the different colors. I don't have really any rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I'm just making it look like I like it. So much fun during the summer to have time to just play around a little bit with the different techniques, and I've been really enjoying it. We've had Bible school this week, and we just finished Bible school, and it was a really fun week. The kids seemed to really have a great time. I led the singing, during the opening closing sessions, and my husband worked sound, and it was a lot of fun. My daughter and her husband are in Italy right now. They are on their honeymoon. They finally were able to do a honeymoon. They wanted to wait till the summer so they could have plenty of time, and they've been sending us the most fun pictures of all sorts of different art, and they've seen lots of Michelangelo's sculptures and all kinds of beautiful art there they're in Florence right now, and they're getting ready to go to Venice. But gosh, I just I get it. The painting, I never really counted myself as much of an artist, but I don't think, I just think practice. I'm not a trained artist, but I sure do like to play around with these paints. These are not fancy special paints at all. They're available to anyone and everyone, and I think anybody could do this. Whether you have a shaky hand or I think kids could easily do this as well. And I know from being at school, our art teacher always puts out lots of examples of the kids' artwork. They do beautiful things and are great at shading. So I think this kind of thing, would be a lot of fun for kids to do. So there you can see that I've done some of the greens. I'll finish all the greens. And that little bit, I tried to make the outer petals like they were shadowed, make them a little darker. That mum is kind of the showstopper there. I wanted it to have a little bit of gold. That's the only flower I put a little bit of that metallic gold into. A little bit right there. I guess that one got a little metallic gold too, because it was one of the last ones. I love it. All right, now I decided I would give it a gloss, both of these. I've got them both there. And I would seal them in with, this Rust-Oleum gloss matte, or not matte, clear. I'm used to saying Rust-Oleum matte clear. This Rust-Oleum gloss clear. Okay, now I was at Hobby Lobby and they had this. I think it's not really ribbon. I think it is a sewing interfacing for real, but it's very stiff, but that kind of works for me in this one. I just liked it because it had a little bit of a ticking stripe on it, and it was white, and I was wanting white. So I first of all I did the bow the wrong way, and then I did it the opposite way. I went over then under instead of under then over, and there we go. So I know it's going to work one way, and so if I do it wrong and it just goes sideways, I just do it the other way. There we go, and I mashed it down there because it's good and stiff. So it's going to hold up all by itself. It's not going to be lily-livered at all. Okay, I love it. All right, now for the hanger, it already had 2 holes drilled into it. Now I've decoupaged over it, so I'm going to take my awl here. I ordered that from Amazon a while back, and it comes in handy more times than I thought it would. And so I'm just working the hole back into it. I'm going down through the decoupage paper so it doesn't show. It's nice and clean and neat, and it was kind of messy on the back, but I just kind of wiped that off. And then I've put some twine in the holes, and this is another little find I got at Dollar General this past weekend. They had a lot of their green dot on buy one, get one free, and then you got an extra half off at the register because of the clearance event. So I got this one. I think these were $3 as well. So what would that be, 75 cents? And I liked them because they had not only round beads, they had the hexagon beads on it too, which was super cool looking. And so you can see how the leaves are a little, they're a little cockeyed. I had to make sure that my flowers were going to be growing straight, so that's why I was kind of fiddly with it. But I just love the way this turned out. And the little bit of shine with the gloss, it will look good matte as well. But here this year, I don't know, my opinion of glossy things has definitely changed. And I like it something with a little bit of a shine. Nothing wrong with that. All right, so those two I'm so happy with. Some pretty decoupage. Okay, now we're going to head into the roses. We have a roses in the same shopping center as the Habitat. So usually if I go to the Restore, I also hit roses. There's also a little Redeemed thrift shop there too. I usually hit it as well. Okay, now those little welcome signs, they were marked down. You see all of these have been marked down at least once, some of them twice. And I'm still waiting on a few of them to get marked down. They had tons of clearance wall decor. But I brought home that one that was $3. And I've been wanting to use this, so I printed it out in reverse. This is one of the graphics from Our Upcycled Life, Deidre's website. I belong to her patrons page, I guess. And she posts all kinds of graphics, and all you have to do is download, and it comes in all kinds of forms, both front ways and reverse. And I'm going to do some reverse decoupage, which I love to do. She's great at it, and she's who I learned it from. And I will link her website down below, and also her Etsy page. This Ahoy is not on her Etsy page. I looked to see if it was, but it is. There's all kinds of things. So check out her channel, and she gives out savings codes all the time. If you watch some of her reverse decoupage videos, she's always giving out coupon codes. Okay, but anyway, so Matte Mod Podge is the secret sauce for reverse decoupage. She swears by it, and it's always worked for me. And it took me some practice to get good at this, and it's still not a perfect science. I'll show you, there's one little spot where the ink kind of came off. I just put some antique wax in it and made it look distressed like the rest of it does, so that's nice. Okay, now I'm not pushing hard on this. I'm just making sure it's smooth. I don't want to squish out the Mod Podge. I just want to make sure it's all adhered to the, the flat piece. Now, I'm going to kind of do my rubbing technique and rubbing off the paper 3 times. So the first time, I get it completely wet with a rag, or I have a wet paper towel there. And you just kind of moisten everything. And then you start, doing your circular motions. I like to use my fingers. I like to feel it. I've got a light touch here. I'm not pushing hard. And this is sped up quite a bit, but this is the easiest, number the first time. Then the second time I'm going to come back after I let it dry. This is still the first time. I'm going to rub until it looks like it's all gone. See how the top part looks like it's all gone? Now I'm going to do the rest of it. Let it completely dry, and then you see the haze. I'm coming in doing it the second time. So I come back in. I just use my fingers to get it moistened again. And now I'm going to let it dry again. Okay, and while it's drying, I'm going to do some other stuff for this sign. But that's the second time, and it looks like it's finished, but it's not. There's going to be one more time that I'm going to have to do some light rubbing to get it off. So that's the second time. Looks done, but just wait. All right, so it's drying. Now, I was at a churchyard sale up on the north end of the island about 2 weeks ago, and I found these, among other things. It was a great yard sale. And among other things, I found these 2 atlases, I guess you would say. One of them was a world atlas, and then this one was an American, like a road atlas. So it's all the states. And it was leather bound, so I'm planning on making a journal out of that. But this one, the leather bound one, I'm gonna cut out the page of Alaska, because I'm going to take this little Dollar Tree sign and I'm going to decoupage the the sails with the Alaskan map. And because my husband and I went to Alaska 2 years ago for our 30th wedding anniversary, and then that would have been 2 years ago this month in June. Our anniversary is actually in July, and so this July we celebrate 32 years, which is awesome. Now what I'm doing is I'm outlining it, but I'm cutting it. I outlined it kind of big, so it's not exactly going to be fit to the sails. We're going to come back, or I'm going to come back later once the decoupage is dried, and I'll use those nail files and I will get it perfectly to the sails. All right, so I'm going to paint the whole thing with the snowy white chalk paint. I get all my Waverly chalk paints at Walmart. And I liked that particular atlas. Okay, before I tell you that, I'm going to use baking soda because the burlap on that sail with the anchor, it was, there's 2 layers, and I didn't want that layer to show because I'm not using the burlap. So I'm just mixing up a little bit of baking soda with my Snow White Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to fill in that crevice. And then I'm going to let it dry, and I'll come back and sand it. So it's all nice and thick. I like the way that it's thick. I didn't want to try to peel off the burlap. I like that, that has a little height from the other one. In real life, of course, they would be different sizes, and the wind would blow them. So I'm just sanding it down to make it, kind of smooth. But I got all the edges along with the boat to give it a little bit of texture. And then I'm going to do my decoupage. Now, do you see the sea color, that kind of colonial blue? I'm showing you that I made sure to get the Alaska, the plate that says Alaska. And then on the larger sail, it's the part where it has a little bit of Canada, a little bit of the Yukon, and also where Juneau is. Juneau and Haines, Alaska. That's our ship. We did a Royal Caribbean cruise, and it went all through those islands there near Juneau. Of course, Juneau you have to take a ship to, or a plane, because you can't get there by road, which is crazy. It's the capital. But anyway, so we thoroughly enjoyed our time. Went to the Mendenhall Glacier, and just have fabulous memories from our time in Alaska. But the blue color in the ocean color there, that was a little bit closer, and it matched my Ahoy reverse decoupage. And that's why I chose this one from that leather-bound atlas. The other one had too much turquoise in it, and this did not have turquoise. So now I'm showing you, I'm going to do some relief cuts, and then I'm going to take my nail file there, and I use them over and over. You can see it's well used. I don't just use them once. I use them until there's just nothing left. And that pack of nail files has lasted me so long. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of the extra paper off there. I did put a coat of the matte Mod Podge on top because I'm not painting this. Obviously I want the map to be the superstar there. And you see there's the one little imperfection where I rubbed off the ink. It came off. It could have happened. I must not have gotten the decoupage, on with the brayer there. That sort of thing is bound to happen. Don't get frustrated. It's supposed to look a little distressed. And so I made sure, this is the 3rd time, and I made sure I got the rest. I have a very light touch here. And I'm going to use that rope detail stamp. This is from the Queen Bee IOD stamp set. And I'm going to use that. It matches almost perfectly to that anchor there in our graphic. So I'm just deciding where I want it. And I take my thin mount, and because the thin mount has grid lines, I can line it up right there on the edge so that I can make sure I get that rope in the same place all the way around. Now, I'm using the black and the blue ink from the Crafter Square. Love this ink. This is great. It's permanent ink. It will dry very quickly. I've got a little bit of open time, not much. And I'm telling you, if you are a stamper that uses those block mounts with the rubber stamps, if you ever get this thin mount with these silicone stamps, you're just going to be amazed at how easy they are to use. Those woodblock stamps drive me crazy because some of them, if it's too big, it's hard to get the pressure in the middle, and then you lose that part of the stamp. And, you know, I can feel every place where this stamp is, so I can make sure to wiggle my fingers and tickle all over this stamp and make sure I get it. And it's just real easy to do. And these IOD stamps just line up so beautifully with these lines. Okay, now I'm taking a wet wipe. This is a wet wipe, a baby wipe, and I'm going to rub till it's clean. And it will clean. And if you want to clean it even some more, then Dawn Power Wash to the rescue. It cleans most everything. I use it to clean a lot of things around here. All right, now I'm going to use the shorter line there. It's just kind of like little dots. And I'm going to put that on the bottom. And then I'm going to put June 2022 with the Apothecary label stamps. There's 4 different fonts and some labels in this particular pack. Now, I went ahead and splurged, and I got 2 packs so that I could, have 2 of everything. But it ended up, I needed 3 2s. So I draw the line at buying a 3rd Apothecary label stamp set. But anyway, I got that second 2 a little splotchy. So I've just got a little detail brush, and I can fix that with some paint, no problem. Just wait till it dries, and then you just cover it back up. These stamps are meant to look a little bit distressed, but, I didn't want it that splotchy. Okay, now I'm not going to spray this one. This whole piece is going to get clear waxed. And so I decided to go ahead and clear wax my little sailboat first, so I could get the sides really nicely and it wouldn't get caked up and I could still wipe it off. Then I'm going to go ahead and clear wax the sides and the graphic on the stamps and the graphic on this part, but I'm not going to do any clear wax yet on the part where I'm going to be gluing on the ship, because I want my Gorilla Glue not to stick to wax. I want it to stick to the paint, because that's where it's going to really like to get hold of that chalk paint. Okay, that is the clear Gorilla Wood Glue. I got that at Walmart as well. And the sails kind of will stick up a little bit as I was laying it on the piece. I noticed that it's not going to lay flush, and I just need it to be stuck there at the bottom. I did put a little bit on the sails, but for the most part, the ship part is going to hold it on just fine. And that wood glue is fantastic, so it is holding very well. All right, because of the black border on the Ahoy, I decided to put a black border on just the outer edge. And that was it. That was the finish. And I just love how this just reminds Kevin and I of our wonderful trip. What a wonderful dream trip that was for us. We loved going to Alaska. One of those bucket list trips. Our next trip we want to go on is a Viking cruise on the Rhine in Europe. So it's going to happen. We're going to get there. I would love to see, all the places where Mozart lived and created great things. I want to thank you so much for watching today, and I want to leave you with some encouragement from James. James 1:17, every good and perfect gift comes from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like the shifting shadows. So pretty. I I love all the shadows in these flowers. And that pretty paper. Thank you again for watching. I hope you will hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you next time. God bless.